Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Jane here. You're welcome to my YouTube channel. On this video, I'll be showing us how to cut and sew a BUBU dress with a beautiful neck design on it. Okay, so please watch the video to the end. Subscribe to the channel. Please leave a like and also leave a comment if you have one. And yeah, this is the materials. These are the fabric that I'm going to be using. I have this beautiful Ankara and I have this lovely black I'm going to be using for the pattern. So I have a pattern paper here, and that's what I'm going to be using to mark out the design first. So I'm going on to first off mark out the design for the pattern. So here on my pattern paper, I have it folded into two. Do not divide it into two, just fold it into two. So at the top there, I've marked out a shoulder line for this pattern. Okay, so go ahead and mark out the shoulder line for your pattern. Then from there, I'm going to come down by 5 inch. Come down by either 5 or 6 inches. This is because the pattern we are going for is a build-up neckline, so you need to have space for the collar. So I've marked out 5 inches on my pattern, and then I've drawn out the line straight down. So from there, I'm going to take my bust line. Okay, from that 5 inch that I marked, I'm going to take my bust line, and from there I'm going to also take the length of the pattern. So this is going to be the bust line. The second line is going to be like a shoulder line, and then this last line is going to be the length of the pattern. So going back up, I'm going to take my shoulder divided by 2, and I'm marking that down. Then I'm going to take my neck opening. The neck width I'm going to be using is 3.5 inches. And then at the end of my paper, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for the slope. This is going to be a kimono dress, so we're not going to be cutting out the sleeve. The sleeve is going to be cut together with the pattern and the dress. So from there, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for the neck depth of the back. Okay, come down by 1 inch for the neck depth of the back. Then we go on to highlight it properly. Alright, so after that is done, next thing I'm going to do is to take the neck opening for the front. So for the front, I'm going to take 7 inches. It's going to be a V-neck for the front. So I'll go ahead from my neck opening to mark out 7 inches on my folded edge. So at this point, you need to be careful on how wide your neck is, because the dress is not going to have a zipper. So you need to ensure that the opening you have, your head can pass through. So when I've gotten the neckline of the front, the V-neck, I'm going to go ahead and measure what my neck is for the back. So go ahead and measure the distance of the neck width of your back. Ensure that your measurement is accurate. I have mine as 3.75. I've gone ahead to write it down on my paper there. So from that point, you go up with a straight line. Okay, from the point where you have your neck opening, just go ahead and go up with a straight line. So after that is done, then you're going to take that measurement you got for your neck, and you're going to mark out 0.75 inch, like an angle 90 degrees away from that straight line that you've marked. Then you're going to take the neck measurement you've marked for your back and then place it on the line. After that, you're going to slant the neck towards the inside, the center of the paper, and then you're going to get the neck width of the collar. So for the neck width of the collar, I'll be using 1.75 inch. You can use 2 inches depending on how wide or how big you want the collar to be. So I'm going to use 1.75 inch for the neck collar. So after you've slanted the collar towards the center, you're going to mark 1.75 for the wideness of the collar. Then you're going to take your ruler and connect it to touch the neck width of the front. That's to touch the V point of your front. So this way you can see we've created the collar for this pattern. So you can see how simple and easy it is. So after you've gotten the collar, you're going to transfer all of your lines towards the other side of the paper. So just open up your paper and mark out all of your lines towards the paper at the other side. Then you can now go ahead and cut out the neck of the front. So just go ahead and cut out the neck opening of the front like you can see me doing. Okay, and then also go ahead and cut out the shoulder slope as well. Alright, and also cut out the shoulder slope for this design. So this is what it should look like when you are done cutting it out. So to do the design, from your shoulder line you're going to come out by 4 inches. So from your shoulder line, also from the collar, you're going to come out by 4 inches or 4.5, depending on how wide you want that area to be. So for the hem, you're going to come down by also 4 inches. So from the shoulder to the length of this pattern is 23 inch. So I've marked out 4 inches on my shoulder, and then at the length of the design I also marked out 4 inches. Then I connected the 2 points with a straight line. Okay, connect the 2 points that you've marked with a straight line. Now on your paper, you know that's already a crease line, that's a center point. From that point you can go out by 1.5 inch from the center. So from the center of this pattern you go out by 1.5 inch. Go back to that straight line that you've marked, go up by 4 inches or 4.5. okay, go up by 4 inches rather. Then you're going to mark a slanted line to touch that 1.5 inch we went out from the center line. Okay, just mark a slanted line to that point. So from your center line, from this crease line, come out again by 1.5 inch on your bust line. Okay, from your bust line, come out by 1 inch, connect it down to the 1.5 inch we have on the length of this pattern. So from this new straight line at the center, we're going to take 4.5 inch outward. So from that line, take out 4.5 inch out, mark a point there, come to your bust line from the center line, not the straight line that I've drawn. From the center line, take 8 inches, and then you're going to connect these 2 points together with another slanted line. So connect these 2 points. After you've connected it from the length, go up by 2 inches. From there you're going to also mark another slanted line to touch the straight line we came out by on the length of the pattern. I hope you get this explanation. So just go ahead and mark out a slanted line to touch the straight line you've marked on the paper. So the next thing you're going to do is, from your midpoint, you're going to take 1.5 inch from that chest point up to the shoulder line. So mark out 1.5 inch from your bust line up to the shoulder line. Then you are going to square it out. All right, so go ahead and do that. 1.5 inch from the bust up to touch the shoulder, and then you're going to square it out with your slanted ruler. You slant it down with your ruler and then connect it to touch the straight line you have or your bust line. So I think this explanation is quite clear. If you don't understand mine, you can just watch the video and see what I'm connecting. So after this, now the next thing to do is to take out 1 inch from the side. So from the side, you're going to just slant your ruler and take 1 inch, and that will be it for this design. All right, so before we cut out, we're going to place this on our fabric. We are going to be cutting out the front separately and the back separately. So this is my fabric. I've folded it into 2. The width is 24 inches on fold. I've gone on to mark out my shoulder line. So from the shoulder line, I'll also mark out 5 inch below, because we are going to be attaching a collar. Our collar is a built-up collar. So from that 5 inch below, just go ahead and place your pattern on the paper, on the fabric, sorry. Place your pattern on the fabric,
and then ensure to mark out just trace out the shoulder line on your fabric. So the length of the fabric will be the length of your gown length. That is, maybe for instance, my gown length is 57 inches plus the extra 5 an inch I added at the top and 2 extra inches for folding. That will be the length of the front. Okay, so if you're doing the front should be longer than the back. So after you've placed the pattern on the fabric, from the shoulder you are going to mark your hip line and also the length of the dress. So that is what I have done here. I've marked out the hip line and the length of the dress. Then at the length I added extra 1 inch for folding it at the bottom. Now from the shoulder line you're going to come down by 10 inch for the sleeve opening. So mark that 10 inch there. Now go back to your pattern and then you're going to take your bust circumference divided by 4. So because you came down by 10 inch for the sleeve, that will be the point where you're going to be placing your bust circumference. So my bust circumference divided by 4 plus extra 4 inches, because this is a BUBU gown, you want it to be free. So add extra 4 inches to it. You're going to use half an inch to join it at the side. Same thing for the hip. You come down to your hip line, your hip circumference divided by 4 plus extra 4 inches to it as well. You're going to use half an inch to join the sides together. So that's what I've done for the hip and for the bust. Okay, now you come down to your hem, that's to the length of the dress. But if you don't want your bust and your hip to be different, you can just go ahead and measure the same thing you have on your hip and also on your bust. Okay, so I ended up using the same measurement for the hip and the bust. So from my hip line, I will measure what I have on the hip there. Then I'm going to take it down to the hem of this dress. All right, so your hip circumference divided by 4, whatever you have on your hip, you place it down on the hem. Now, because you need to have freedom of movement at the lower part, you need to add extra 3 inches to it, so, or 2 inches. So I'm going to be adding extra 2.5 to mine at the hem of the dress, and that will be it. I will connect them with a straight line. So after connecting with a straight line, the next thing I'm going to do is to curve out the arm side. So you know that your sleeve cannot be straight, so you're just going to create a curve connecting from your bust line to the sleeve. So just go ahead and give it a slight curve. At the lower part, come in by 1 inch and then slant your sleeve that way your sleeve is going to fall nicely when you are done stitching. So after you're done with this, the next thing to do is to go on to add your sewing allowances at the shoulder, towards the collar, and then on the front we're not going to be adding any stitching allowance to that area. So I've added half an inch on my shoulder line. I've added half an inch at the collar, and at the top of the collar I've also added half an inch. So what I did for the V opening at the front is just to trace it on my fabric. That's what I have done for the V area of the front. So I've traced it on my fabric, and after this is done, the next thing you're going to do is to take out your pattern. All right, take out your pattern and you're going to proceed to cutting this out. So here it is. After I've taken out my pattern, I have gone ahead to cut out my fabric. So go ahead and cut out the front. Ensure to cut exactly on your stitching allowance. So this is it. I'm going ahead to cut out this part. So now this is what it looked like after we are done cutting out the front. So I added half an inch at the shoulder, the collar, but at the neckline I didn't add any stitching allowance to that point. Now the next thing to do is to cut out the back. This is what the back looks like. I also cut it out without adding the 5 an inch at the top. The back does not need the extra 5 inch you went up for the collar. Alright, so I've cut out the back the same way I have cut out the front. Now we're going to work on the design. So this is the black fabric I'm going to be using for the design. I ironed my interfacing on it. So what you do now is to take your design. You can see that I've cut out the excess papers that I don't need on this design. So you take your design, then you place it on top of the fabric that you've ironed interfacing on, add 1/2 inch stitching allowance around it, and then you go ahead and cut it out. Okay, so after you have cut out the design, this you use this design to cut out the front, you go ahead and cut out the remaining excess of the paper around, place it on your black fabric, and then add stitching allowances on it and cut it out. We didn't add at the neckline. So now, after you cut out, you're going to place this design on the front. Now, the way you're going to be placing this is the right side of the design will be facing the wrong side of your fabric. Place the right side of the design on the wrong side of your fabric. Use your pins to secure it down. Okay, so use pins to secure it down. Place the right side. So the right side is what is facing the wrong side of the fabric. So this way, when you stitch the neckline, you're going to turn it and the right side will be on the right side of the fabric. So here I've marked out 0.25 on the neck, then I'm going to go and stitch it down. After stitching, I turned it to the right side. This is what it looks like. I've ironed it, and here it is. So I also went on to iron in 1/2 inch. Okay, if you look closely, you see that I ironed in 1/2 inch on the design. This way I'm going to just take my hemming gum to press it down. After pressing it down with hemming gum, I'm going to now take to the sewing machine, and I'm going to do a top stitch from the shoulder down to the length of the pattern. I hope you understand. So I'm going to be using hemming gum to tape it down on the fabric, so that when I take it to the machine to stitch, it comes out neat. So after you've taped down with your taping gum, your hemming gum, the next thing you're going to do a top stitch. The top stitch will help to keep it in place. So even when the hemming gum is tired, it won't lose or it won't open up. So for the pocket, this is my pocket. I've cut out 2 pairs for each side, for the front and for the back. Now I'm going to go on to stitch the pockets onto the front and the back. So for where I'm going to be placing the pocket, I'm going to take the front panel. Then I'm going to measure from the shoulder down to 18 inches. 18 inches is the point where I'm going to be placing my pocket at. So mark a point at 18 inches at the front. Take your pocket and you're going to place it on top of it. I have a video on how to sew this kind of pocket. I'm going to leave it in the comment section. Okay, so grab your pocket, place it on that point, and then go stitch it down and do a top stitch also. After that, you're also going to repeat the same thing for the back. Okay, I've stitched down the pocket for the front of the dress, and I'll do the same thing for the back of the dress as well. All right, go ahead and stitch down the pocket at the back of the dress. This is the back of my dress. I'm placing it right sides together so that we can now go on to join these 2 pieces together. So after you've stitched down your pockets by the sides, the next thing to do is to go on and stitch the shoulder line of this dress. So I'm going to go take to the sewing machine and stitch the shoulder 1/2 inch on both sides for the shoulder. After that, we are going to close off the collar. So after joining the shoulders by 1/2 inch, we have the collar left. So for the collar, you're going to face them together, right sides facing each other. Open up the black and the Ankara. Ensure that they are facing each other. The seam lines match each other. Okay, place them right sides facing each other. You can hold down with pins before taking to your machine to stitch down. So this is it. I've opened up my fabric and the black material as well. Using my pins to hold it down, I'm going to take to the sewing machine to stitch down. So you're going to pin down, then take to the sewing machine and you're going to stitch it down. After stitching, this is what the collar should look like. Okay, I've ironed it out and I've pressed it open. So at the edge of the shoulder there, I went on to notch those points so that I can be able to join the neckline of the back to the collar. So that's the only thing that is left. So just notch the two edges. That way to give you a smooth sail when you are joining the collar to the back of the dress. Now for the sleeve, I'm going to be attaching this black fabric on it. I have cut out this in the length of 2.5 inch. I've ironed and interfacing on it. So I'll go on to stitch by 1/2 inch from the right side, so that the black will only be visible on the inside of the sleeve. So this is what it looks like. I've cut out the excess. Then I went on to iron it down, stitch the front, stitch it on the right side, and then fold it in on the inside and do a top stitch. So after that is done, the next thing we are going to do now is to join the sides together. So you're going to be running a stitch from all the way from the sleeve down to the hem of the dress. So from the sleeve, when you get to the pocket, you're going to go around the pocket. From there, you're going to go down and stitch by all the way down to the hem. Okay, from the sleeve you're going to stitch, go around the pocket, and then continue your stitch down. So I'll do this for both sides. Ensure that you are stitching on the wrong side, please, not on the right side. After that is done, this is it for it. This is it. You can see that my pocket is no longer showing. It's now on the inside. So the last thing we're going to do is to hem the lower part of this dress. So I'm going to go hem it by 1 inch and then give it a good press, and I'll come back and show you guys what it looks like. Alright guys, this is what the dress looks like. It came out really beautiful. This is not mine. I'm doing this for a client. I hope you like this video. If you do, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Stay blessed. Bye.